Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. So Rhys Edwards of Wales, he becomes WBA Intercontinental Champ, whatever the hell that is. But more importantly, he picks up a very good win against Thomas Patrick Ward. And Ward came in with 34 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Now, the defeat was a 5-round stoppage to Otabek Kolmatov, and that was, I think, March of last year. And he's had 1 fight since then. So he went into the Lion's Den, Rhys Edwards, Welsh. This was in Cardiff. And to be honest with you, even though he made things tense for Edwards and made Edwards work for most of the rounds, I thought Edwards won this fight quite widely. I had it 97-93, which might be a bit generous to Thomas Patrick Ward, but there's no doubt he definitely lost the fight, Ward. And Edwards began as he meant to go on. He came out jabbing really beautifully. I mean, double jabs. At one point, he jabbed to the head, switched it to the body, in a flash. I mean, really good work. Nice, tight, compact stance. Used his feet well, edged forward. Box fighting, you know what I mean? And he was always a step ahead or maybe a punch ahead of Thomas Patrick Ward. Now, Ward is 29, so this was really a fight where it's going to be difficult for him to rebuild after this. He might have to drop down to domestic level and forget about these intercontinental belts and just, try and do it the old way. He did sort of build his. I think he was. Thomas Patrick Ward was British super bantamweight champ at some point. We're now at featherweight. He's now at featherweight. But he didn't, he didn't go through that EBU. I always think it's best to go through the EBU route, and he didn't. He tried to sort of gate crash the world rankings with sort of, in a sense, creep in, under the radar sort of thing. Didn't quite work out against Kolmatov, and it didn't work out here either because this wasn't really a close fight. Like I say, the boxing from Rhys Edwards was really, really good. And Ward was always just a step behind. He couldn't quite get on the man and put some concerted pressure on him. And the pressure he did land, because he was throwing punches. I mean, he wasn't just following Edwards around. Edwards was able to handle it. And then in the 6th round, I think it was the 6th round, suddenly Ward got close and he was able to land some very, very, not necessarily powerful punches. I mean, he's only got 5 knockouts in 34 wins, Ward. But he was consistently landing it for the first time. And you thought, okay, this is only a 10-rounder, but we're in the second half, the start of the second half, you know what I mean, of the fight. If he can build on this, he can pull back the deficit. But to be honest with you, Edwards was pretty impressive. He sort of kept Ward, pretty much not on the back foot, but he kept it. Again, Edwards was the one landing. He was having the final say in the exchanges. And even when Ward was able to land good punches, Edwards came back, and you felt he was winning most of the rounds. Like I say, I gave Ward, I think, 3 rounds, but that might be a bit too generous. If I watched it again, I think one of the judges said it 99-91, which the impression I got was that anyway that Ward won. Edwards won most of the rounds, and Edwards looked good. I mean, he's only his 16th win. And he's only got 4 KOs himself, so neither of these guys hits hard. But he's kind of jumped up because his last fight was against Brad Foster, and that was a good 10-round win. And this was a 10-rounder. I bet Ward was wishing this was a 12-rounder. He actually finished with a cut to the eye, and his eye had been badly bruised. His left eye had been badly bruised for some time in the fight. It had sort of discoloration, and it finally popped open and started bleeding in the last maybe minute of the fight. But I'm thinking if it had been a 12-rounder, it would have favoured Ward more. But to be honest with you, I still think Edwards would have won it because he actually finished quite strongly, even though Ward was putting it on him for sections of the second half of the fight in general. Edwards, I was impressed at how he controlled Ward's aggression. How he would do against a harder puncher, I don't know. I think you need power to keep a modicum of power anyway, to keep an opponent off you when you need to at least get his respect. And I get the impression that Edwards might be lacking in that department, but a good fighter nevertheless. He can do things. He can in British title. They're going to try and gate crash the world scene with these WBA trinkets or whatever the hell it is. But I would prefer to see him do British and then, up to EBU and then go for the world. Because he's a young man. He's only 24. Ward's 29. It's difficult for him to come back. Edwards is only 24. That's a young man. So he's got plenty of time. But what did you think? What did you think of this fight? I enjoyed it. I thought it was even though it was kind of one-sided in terms of rounds, they were competitive rounds, and I thought Ward was always a threat, just a little bit, half a step behind all the time, half a punch behind maybe. Let me know what you think. Comments below, of course, as always. And please, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Pretty please with knobs on it. Oh, and hit the like button and all, because they count them apparently. Takes you a second. Pop the like button. Go on. Do us a favour. All right, guys and girls. See you later. Bye for now.